So this is a huge, huge story. Time magazine, which obviously is not a credible source, a left-wing propaganda outlet, has this bombshell article. It's called "Inside the Massive Effort to Change the Way Kids Are Taught to Read," and it's just incredibly explosive because it admits everything that I've been sounding the alarm about for the last 10 years, everything that my late colleague, friend, and co-author Dr. Samuel Blumenfeld sounded the alarm about for 60 years, and everything that other heroes sounded the alarm about for many years before that. People like Rudolf Flesch, we'll talk about them. But what they are essentially acknowledging in this article is that children need proper instruction in phonics to be able to learn how to read properly. You'd think this would be pretty basic, but no, it's not. We now are about 3.5, maybe 4 generations into this national experiment in quackery where virtually all Americans in government schools have been taught to read using this quack method known as the whole word method or the look-say method. They've given it a number of different terms to kind of conceal what was going on over the years and over the decades. But it doesn't work, of course. That's why, according to the government's own data, most American youngsters are not even proficient in reading. And by proficient, I don't mean they're good at it. I mean they're barely able to make out the words on the page. And so they're finally now admitting, as our country is on the verge of imploding as a result of this, that, oops, we made a mistake. Oh, yikes. Turns out kids really do need phonics. Wow. Pretty unbelievable. But, I mean, it's good that they're acknowledging this. According to the article, in the last few years, almost 20 states have now passed laws requiring that teachers receive training on how to teach phonics. This is true even with some liberal states. It's true in New York City. They are now finally acknowledging that, hey, it's probably pretty important for kids to learn how to read, and there's really only one way to do that. That is to teach them phonics. So a little background on what this means. So phonics, we have a phonetic writing system. In other words, every symbol in our alphabet represents one or more sounds. So a P is a P sound, a T is a T sound, a C is a K sound, right, depending on where it is. And so every letter has a sound or more than one sound associated with it, and then you blend those together, like a P and an A, that's pa, 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 right? So pretty simple, right? This is how people for thousands of years have learned how to read and write phonetic writing systems, and it really was a big advance. It was a big development from ideographs and pictographs and hieroglyphics and things like this, where symbols actually represented a whole word or an idea, right? Using the phonics system, anything you can sound out, you could write down on a piece of paper and communicate to others. And so obviously English has a phonetic writing system. So to be able to teach a child how to read it properly, you have to teach them the sound of the words and how to relate those to each other. Instead, though, we started with this crazy experiment, this whole word method, back in the 1830s and 40s under the leadership of Horace Mann, who first really created government schools in this country. It was invented with the best of intentions. It was done to help deaf children learn how to read because, of course, deaf children can't hear sounds. But Horace Mann wanted this in the schools of Boston. It was such a disaster that all the schoolmasters in Boston got together and they said, look, this change proposed by Mr. Mann is neither called for nor sustained by sound reasoning, so we're not going to be doing that anymore. So that was debunked more than 150 years ago. Totally debunked. It was a giant joke. Nobody thought to use this again until John Dewey, the founding father of America's public education system, a Soviet Union-loving subversive, resurrected this quackery and then spread this poison through the American education system from his perch at Columbia University's Teachers College. He did this by creating textbooks that promoted this, by producing fraudulent studies. Him and his eugenicist colleagues at Teachers College promoted these crazy ideas. And over again, this has been exposed. Right? In the 1950s, Rudolf Flesch did the book Why Johnny Can't Read, and he explained that the reason Johnny can't read is because the teaching of reading all over the United States, in all the schools, in all the textbooks, is totally wrong and flies in the face of all common sense. Again, in the 1970s, Dr. Samuel Blumenfeld published the book The New Illiterates. He blew the whistle on this, and incredibly, the education establishment said, oh, phonics, that's a right-wing conspiracy. I mean, it's unbelievable, the idiocy that the education establishment came out with. Finally, in the year 2000, the National Reading Panel, an organ of the U.S. government, said, yeah, we probably better teach kids a little bit of phonics. That's probably a good idea. It was a total garbage report. They said that phonics should be a part of reading instruction, part of a balanced approach. Anyways, that kind of got the ball moving. And now in recent years, they've really started realizing that, okay, we've dumbed down enough Americans now. We've destroyed the country enough that maybe we can, even in the Soviet Union, they taught children how to read the old-fashioned way because, they didn't have anything they could read, anything true or useful or important, but at least they knew how to read. So these quack educators created this balanced literacy approach to conceal the quackery. That's been going on for a couple of decades at least. And now, the Time Magazine article is really problematic for a number of reasons, right? They ignore all of the great heroes over the decades who tried to expose this, and they go all to this lady, Emily Hanford, and the National Reading Panel, as if that was what finally, turned Americans onto these important facts. Totally ridiculous. And also, the writer at the Time Magazine article seems to assume, very naively, that this was just some sort of big, giant mistake. Oh my goodness, they just must be really stupid. How could they have not realized? Well, folks, it was not stupidity. This was absolutely deliberate. And as you read John Dewey's writings, you'll see very clearly that this was his idea. Now, it's never too late to do the right thing, but folks, we have got to get busy on this. Children need to learn how to read properly. The only way to do it is phonics. Whether we'll be able to save our country or not, I don't know. But if you have children, teach them how to read properly.